Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Palma Boat Show, I guess. Welcome to the 4th annual Estela Breakfast Seminars. So we're back here in the Varadero, the different venue from the last couple of years, but slight surprise with the stage this morning, but I think the numbers were okay. But I think everybody's managed to find a seat. So it's good to see you here this morning. Thank you for getting out of bed early to join us today. We're going to be talking about sustainability or efficiency, how as David likes to put it. First of all, just to say, please, if you have your mobile on ring, please put it on silent. I should just thank all the people that make these events possible. So a big thank you to our sponsors, and they are today A to Z Yachting, the crew agency, Alcadesa Marina, the marina in the Straits of Gibraltar, Antigua Yacht Club Marina, which is in Falmouth Harbour, Antigua, of course. Argentario Yacht Services, they are our agency colleagues in Tuscany. AYSS, the Association of Yacht Support Services, of which Estela is a proud founding member. Bufete Diaz Asociados, the maritime law specialists in Cádiz. Calero Marinas, which is the operator with 2 marinas and a shipyard in Lanzarote, plus marinas in La Palma and Fuerteventura. Champagne Claudia Cerchi. I know it's a breakfast, a bit early for champagne, but they make a very beautiful drink, which we'll be sampling one evening, I guess, this week. Coral Marine, our agency colleagues in Ibiza. Fraser Yachts, of course, the leader in yacht chartering, brokerage, management, and new builds. Marine Shore Assistance, who are our agency colleagues in Venice and the Adriatic. Maritime Ship Cleaning, which is the cleaning specialists in Northern Europe and now also in Spain. Mehmeti, which is our agency colleagues in Göcek, Turkey. Peninsula Fuel, the leading physical bunker and lubricant supplier. Spectra Jet Care, who are specialists in equipment condition monitoring in the marine industry. Swiss Path Yachting, who cover every aspect of yacht ownership, brokerage, and management. So I'm nearly there. Tema Petroli, fuel and lube suppliers throughout the Mediterranean with a worldwide network, and we manage their fuel station in Port Adriano if you need any fuel here. The Crew Network, obviously the industry's longest operational yacht crew recruitment agency. Turismo Lanzarote, the body promoting the island as a super yacht destination. And also thank you to the PYA, who are supporting our events and participating in tomorrow's Crew Careers Seminar. So just a reminder that we are here tomorrow for talking about crew careers, mental health, training, etc. All things related to crewing. So, but for today, we're talking about sustainability, and obviously the whole industry is talking about sustainability. That means different things to different people. On Saturday, we're going to be talking about fuel and propulsion and what's happening on that level. Today, we're going to focus on what's happening on board and also what's happening in the marinas and in the yards, because that's something I think that perhaps people don't focus enough on. It's fine having certain materials on board and being conscious on board, but of course, ultimately we do produce waste and we do consume products, and what impact does that have on down the supply chain? So I'm going to hand over to somebody who knows a lot more about this than I do. So it's a big thank you to Rebecca Whitlock, who's our substitute moderator this morning, because we lost Claire due to illness. She couldn't fly in the end. So Rebecca is New Zealand born and bred, now based in the Côte d'Azur, with more than 20 years in marketing, specializing in the yachting, events, and tourism industries. She is the founder of Antibes Yachting, which is a media and marketing consultancy that works with clients on marketing strategy, social media management and engagement, print media, public relations, and business development. She's written over 500 articles for yachting companies, for luxury brands, and high net worth clients, published in more than 15 countries. So thank you to Rebecca. Rebecca will introduce the panel, and I'm going to hand over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Good morning, everybody. As James mentioned, I am here stepping in for Claire, who is not here for interest, so please bear with me today. He also mentioned I am originally from New Zealand, so as long as we talk about yachting and not the All Blacks or sheep, we'll be all right. So just to introduce the panel today, first I'll start with Leah Tennant. Now, Leah has worked on a number of high-profile yachts over a period of 6 years. While she was on board, she questioned why there were so many product makers who were using products that were harming the welfare of their users and of the planet. Now, having researched possible side effects of using these products on crew's health, she set about developing a range of pollutant-free and harmless alternatives and founded Washdown in 2022. Now, using hybrid biotech formulas bottled in eco-friendly packaging, Washdown is all about eradicating waste on every level. Now, next up, sitting next to me, we have a local representative here. Lucia Mingot is a naval and oceanic engineer and has spent her career in the field of naval repair. She has been at Astilleros de Mallorca since 2001, where she is the Director of Quality, Innovation and Sustainability. She is responsible for a number of departments and the Certified Environmental Management System, as well as training and maintenance of the shipyard plant. Lucia has headed up key sustainability projects that have established Astilleros as a point of reference for environmental responsibility in the industry. Now, over the end, our thorn amongst the roses, today we have David Gates. Nice to see you again here, Dave. David is the founder and MD of Super Yacht Rubbish, which is part of the Complete Yacht Solutions Group. His career began at the Yacht Report magazine, which is now the Super Yacht Group, where he was a key account manager, and his portfolio of clients ranged from shipyards to electronics and communications companies, marinas, yacht managers, fuel suppliers, and provisioners. David started Complete Yacht Solutions in 2010, supplying innovative products and consultancy to the industry, specifically designed to reduce waste and lower the harmful environmental impact of the yacht industry. We don't have Nigel Marrison here today. Unfortunately, he cannot attend. Now, Nigel's background is in environmental social governance. He founded Blue ESG, so we will find out more about him at another time. So getting into the conversation today, I'm sure you all have a lot of questions as we proceed, but we will have plenty of time for questions at the end of the session. Now, to start off, I'll kick off with a question about how there are now more environmentally friendly products and services that are available for head of departments. And most of these don't really need much persuasion for the crew or the industry to use them, as long as they are aware of what the benefits are. I'll start with you, Leah. What are some of the pain points of the products that are out there and getting people on board to using them?
Yeah, of course. So I think for us, what we find a lot, and the same as when I was on Super Yachts, is the culture. And because you've used a certain product, or a captain's used a certain product for a longer amount of time, and that's just how it's always been done, then there's a lot of resistance sometimes to change. Or I think it's eco-friendly products coming with a stigma, so that basically they're either weak or they don't work as well. And I think for us, that's why we've really tried to implement that in everything that we did. So when we were working with the bioscientists to come up with the formula, we were also working with crew to make sure the products are outperforming other products and like your standard chemical cleaning products. But I would say that's where we would struggle with is the stigma, but then as soon as they use the products, they're on board. Yeah.
So would you say that as well as having the products, you're also offering a service because of the nature of what you're trying to achieve on the big picture, you're also giving guidance for the awareness of how the product is impacting
of course.
The operational side.
Yeah, exactly that. And for us, it's not just about a cleaning solution. It's about the education and the welfare of crew and putting an end to basically like toxic cultures where they're not actually being looked after properly. And I think a lot of it, we were talking about it the other day, but it's all down to education because, for example, with some of the products we were using, like when you get to the stage where you're a bosun or an officer and you're looking at the SDS sheets and it's saying using this on a daily basis causes respiratory system cancer, if you knew about that when you were a deckhand right at the start, you wouldn't want to use it in the first place. So, for example, we're doing at the minute like a VOC free campaign, again, to actually educate people and raise awareness on that so that you can then implement the change.
Yeah, and David, what are your impressions of the pain points for trying to onboard people within the industry to...
Well, specifically from my angle with the waste management, it's not really that hard because the products that are placed on board the boats are very historically based, like you say. It's kind of the same thing gets put on the spec sheets, which is a compactor. And every boat I speak to says, I wish I could get rid of the compactor. And literally, if I don't sell my vacuum device, which is shrinks and seals waste, I know I'll get them 6 months after they've left the shipyards. You know, and it's... Yeah, sorry. It's one of those things that there's still a legacy of products going on board which get thrown out as soon as the boat's launched, and people like Leah and myself supply our products to them, and it's a total waste.
Yes, and Luthia, I want to come across to you now because obviously you've been in the industry for over 2 decades, and the transition for shipyards especially has changed a lot with environmental consciousness. So how do you find that for communicating to the industry, how you were lowering your impact?
Well, I think it's difficult. Basically, because sometimes you cannot reach the complete crew. You talk to captains or you talk to chief engineers, but sometimes you cannot reach all of them and get them to know the complete information of how the work on the boats and on the shipyard will affect the environment. For example, with the products the judge use, we run in the shipyard analysis program. So we are analyzing the outputs of the shipyard itself and also the outputs of the wharves where the yachts are staying, and we see the analysis do not comply with local regulations. Sometimes, well, you have to think that when naval engineers are designing boats, are complying with regulations that are more related to how the boat is going to perform at sea. But then, when they are on wharf, there's a lot of other activities that are not so intense when they are navigating. So they are going to clean things in the engine room, they are going to use solvents, they are going to use degreasers, they are going to use the scalars, and the cleaning processes will be massive, will be more intensive. So that output stream of the boat is terrible. So if anything that can be done to substitute harmful products by bioproducts, certified products, because there's a lot of greenwashing and claims that are not true, will be helpful. And when you cannot substitute a product, you should avoid it going through the sink, and you should collect it in a can or something like that and give it to the CBR or give it to the marina or a waste management company. That's my feeling about this. This thing.
Okay. Great. So, do you believe, Luthia, that sustainability is a virtue for owners and for charter guests and crew? Or if not, how do you think the industry can actually influence this?
Well, 2 years ago in the Super Yacht Forum in Metz, there was a sentence that was, critical. So they say the yachting industry will be sustainable or will not be at all. Because there is a lot of communities around Europe, of a lot of people that is against this industry, because it's easy to judge when you do not know us and say, okay, this is a luxury thing, it's harming us. So we have to be as sustainable as possible, and we have to show it in a real way, not just with claims, but with real technical data. It's really important for owners and for their appearance also to society.
Yeah. And Leah, do you feel the same way, or what's your impression about whether sustainability is seen as a virtue for owners and charter guests and crew? Obviously, crew are, the awareness is growing, but do you think the industry can impact this even more?
Definitely. I think there's always, even since in the last couple of years, I do think there's definitely been more of a push for it and people being more involved in it. But it's like you say, you can't change something unless it's coming from every single different avenue. And I think a lot of it is there's so much power in community when it comes to that. And that's from the management companies, from the crew, from the shipyards, from people making sustainable products, from doing what you guys are doing, and really pushing it to work together, and education, because without that, nothing will change. Because a lot of the problem, most of the time, is that either people aren't educated, like we were saying about the bins, so they're putting in, was it on Teams you were saying? Yeah, where they're recycling all the rubbish, but then they're putting it into bins, and then it's going straight to landfill again.
One lorry picks it up and tumbles it
I know
together.
this very well.
Exactly. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And it's interesting, Luthia, because you were mentioning that there is a perception from outside the industry about super yachts being, super consumers as such. And I think media has an important part to play. You will agree with me, James. There's a number of clickbait headlines out there. And the industry can sometimes feel like we are under attack from people that aren't actually working in the industry and understand the technical data that is coming from the shipyards, the builders, and the designers. So now, what practical steps can we take as an industry to reduce our carbon footprint and make yachting a little bit more responsible and greener? Dave,
I think a lot of it's going to be driven by the younger owners coming in, the younger crew. I get told by a lot of captains that they're highly influenced by the younger crew going on board, and who are much more driven by the kind of sustainability argument, whatever that means to them as sustainability. And I think as an industry that if you've got products which are replacing older historic products which are better and more efficient, then it's a no-brainer to an engineer. There's so many great products out there now, battery technology, cleaner fuels. They have the ability to change the perception, but they also come with risks as well.
Exactly, and I've noticed, now associations and businesses are coming out with resources for the greater industry. So we have the environmental crew guidelines that crew can share. It's open source, so people can download it. You don't have to, be a subscriber as such. Last year at Monaco Yacht Show, also we had the designers protocol. So there are more. There's more activity. There's more emphasis on reducing the carbon across the industry. So on to the next question. What role, if any, are flag state playing in environmental practices on board? Luthia?
A flag state?
Yes.
Interesting one.
We might need another session.
So, sometimes things have to be legal or compulsory for the industry to take them, because sometimes the competence or the competition between companies or between marinas make some improvements very difficult to be taken. Imagine, for example, we are buying 100% green electricity in the yard, but no owner, no captain has ever asked us if we are doing so. So they are not perceiving it as a better thing for them to choose a shipyard. So we are investing in that, but the client does not appear to think that that's a good thing. So in that cases, legality, regulations may help to improve things. So if finally they say, okay, you have to have 20% of green electricity by 230 and then 30% in 10 years more, then the people does it, and they do it at the same time, so competition among others don't harm any companies. And another thing I see is that in the yachting community, I think the people is more sustainability conscious than others, because they are in the sea and they are related to dolphins and to the magnificent sea. But sometimes these beliefs that we are applying to our personal life Sometimes there's people that is offsetting their own their footprint, or they are using bicycles. Sometimes that these feelings don't get applied to the company. So I think these personal beliefs, these behaviors we do in our personal life should be translated to what we do in business, and forget about business as usual and start to a new area, let's say.
Yeah, so this is, you mentioned there about the social aspect where people they might have that personal values, but it's not translating into the corporate side of the company that they're working for. Now, assuming that compliance and auditing is going to progress and it's going to get tougher with regulations, this is likely to make business more expensive. So who is going to bear the cost of the increased financial expenses for legislation, for regulations, for auditing?
It's going to be the clients, isn't it? You know, the people who are using the marinas, using the shipyards that have to comply to these things. And more stringent, the higher the kind of regulation, the people who pay at the end of the day are going to pay for it.
Yeah, and so
If I can jump on that, I think for decades we have been thinking about paying in relation with money, but we are already paying because the environmental bill was not in dollars or in euros, was done in climate change, was in animals dying, in loss of biodiversity. So I will move away of only money counting and also thinking about we will pay less in the future, the complete human society, because we will get a better future.
And so, you know, it's important to communicate that we need to focus on the life cycle assessment the whole way through, not just on one sector of a product or service. So what does sustainability mean to different people, and how can we measure it? What does best practice look like? Leah, have you got any perspective on this?
So I think for me, like, sustainability is a lifestyle, and I think again it's like a form of self-care, exactly what you were just touching on, for like yourself, but also for the environment. And I think again, when we look into, for example, other commercial settings where you have ESG and everything like that, I think that would be, I think I can always see that coming more and more into the yachting sector, and it's all about measurable impact. And I think, like you say, it's putting products in there or changing sources where you can actually, it's data driven, where everything can be tracked and we can like measure the impact that we're having. We do the same with our products, so you can actually measure the impact and the difference between one of our solutions compared to your standard solutions. And I think the more and more you can do that and put those statistics in front of people, it makes you realise actually what effect you're having personally on the environment. And I think that will implement change.
Yeah, I'm trying to walk the walk that I'm talking. I've got 16 solar panels. I've got a Tesla Powerwall. I'm moving to 100% electricity. I only use renewable energy in my personal life. And the knowledge I've built up in the battery world and the solar world, I'm actually going to be transferring that to business soon, with supplying battery systems to marinas and shipyards to kind of shave the top of the electricity off, because that's the expensive stuff. That's the dirty stuff when then the oil and gas is used to power the shore power and things like that.
Yeah, well, that's always that's great that in the process of building your own business, you've seen an opportunity to actually help the wider industry in the future as well.
Well, it's all, like Leah said, it's all about education. You know, that we're dealing with professional crew who are, you know, the way I sell things is I say, what do you think about it? I don't try and tell them. They're more than smart enough to work it out themselves generally, and they're already pre-educated.
And do you think consumers and people that are looking to use products and services in the industry, do you think they know where to find the technical data, the knowledge, or is this all being driven by companies such as yourself? Because we don't collect data industry-wide, and so when the EU Green Claims Directive is in place, it's going to impact a lot of businesses, and because they're making unsubstantiated claims about eco-friendly and green energy, etc.
Yeah, when I first started selling the vacuum device, I thought the yacht managers would be really key. You know, it's going to impact the way the boat's used. It's going to keep the waste in the marinas, and not, as one captain said to me, 100 bags on some island somewhere. I had very little interest from the industry. You know, I set up a machine in Monaco in a friend's office to do demos to the yacht managers. One yacht manager turned up, but I decided to go and walk around the marina in Monaco, and I got 3 contracts in a week. Because it's the people on the boat that really will drive change.
Yeah. And do you also believe, and I'm going to throw this one out there, that sustainability, it's not really seen as a sexy topic. We like talking about new... I just put it, sorry, James, I hope I'm allowed to say that. We like talking... We like talking about new builds and the latest super yacht concepts and everything, but when it comes to things such as sustainability and things that perhaps aren't so visible to the whole life cycle in the industry, it's not really a sexy topic that people like to, you know, share on social media and things like that.
There was an 80-metre yacht in Holland that I visited, and I had a tour of the boat by the crew, and I was supplying my machines to them. They like giving me tours, they like showing me what they're doing. And this boat had 2 electric tenders on board, 2 14-metre electric tenders. And I said to the crew, I said, so it's great you've got a full electric tender, but how are you going to recharge them? You know, he said, oh, we've got 4 diesel generators. And it's that kind of thing. It was still at that stage where it doesn't all link up.
Yeah, of course. So we still have this ongoing issue of tackling greenwashing, and there's no such thing as a green super yacht. The truth is that emissions are created. It's just displaced over time or location. So moving along, I want to step behind the scenes and talk to you each about how you got into sustainability. Now, Luthia, I'll start with you.
Okay. So we've been working in, let's say, environment, because before talking about sustainability, we were talking about environment care for a long time. So we have been certified by ISO 14001 since, I think it was 2004. So it's a long journey. And we talk now about sustainability, and I have to say that we have included one extra pillar on our strategic plan, because we used to talk about protecting water and protecting air and nature regeneration and those kind of things. And we also had some transversal areas, but we have included a view for the product. I mean, we were talking about processes for years. We were talking about making the shipyard greener, let's say, and now we are more focused in the product we are repairing. And looking at what can we do to have an ended product, an ended yacht repair, let's say, that will get out of the shipyard with less footprint, less probable footprint. So if we can change an engine with another one that is more efficient, will be great. If we can supply an air conditioning unit with a refrigerant gas that is less harmful, will be okay. And to do that, we are taking the same approach as other big players in the industry. It's making a sustainability database. And we are not only doing it by ourselves, because we are part of an ecosystem, and we are working with all the supply chain. So we are trying to make alliances and contracts with our suppliers and with new suppliers, and that we are asking them, okay, what kind of service, an alternative service can you supply or can you offer to our clients that has a smaller footprint? And we'll also have a new project this year that is a different approach to what we have done in the past. And we have made we are supporting an NGO, a local NGO, that this has a project for nature regeneration that is based on organic or regenerative agriculture. A little bit difficult for me to say it. And it's based on on the concept of food forest gardens. I don't know if you have heard about it, but it's really an interesting alternative to traditional agriculture, and even it's an evolution of organic agriculture. what we are doing is support this project that is local. So if judges, if companies will like to support them, they can go to the spots and see with their eyes what's going on to avoid greenwashing and to avoid only rely on certificates. So the objective is to regenerate agriculture. You can also receive a certificate of carbon offset for your boat or for your company, but that's not the objective. I mean, we shouldn't just offset our footprint and forget about doing real changes on the efficiency of our boats. But as the IEPPC panel says, only applying the better techniques, the better existing technologies, we are not in time to avoid the 2 degrees increase. So a mixture of enhancing our efficiency and offsetting carbon, I think, will be a good idea for the future, and that's our approach right now.
Fantastic, thank you. And now, Leah, your background, you've obviously worked on board before, so can you share with us that aha moment when you decided, right, washdown is coming out, I'm going to launch this amazing company to change the industry?
Yeah, so for me, it was a bit of a journey, really. So I started working on super yachts when I was 18. I was doing a cadetship at UKSA, then joined yachts. And then I left when I was about 25, again, just because I'd been in the industry for a little while and I was just getting to the point where I think I was just getting a bit fed up with it. And then I actually went and worked for a charity doing water sanitation programs in Uganda. So I think it was a bit of both from the experience that I had there. And then we were looking into biotechnology, and obviously all of the time on boats, like for the last couple of years, I was starting to question things a lot more and saying, well, why are we doing this? And it was always, oh, well, it's been this way, you can't change it. If someone was going to change it, they would have done it now. You can't go up against companies like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, yeah, so it was when I was doing the water sanitation project, I came across biotechnology and obviously the ecological side of it, and then just put the two together, and it all just clicked, really. And then worked with a bioscientist. Well, that was what, yeah. So I worked with bioscientists to develop the products, and then again going back and forth with crew, testing the products, and then we launched our MVP product 2 years ago now, and then we've just been launching our full product range in the last 6 months.
Fantastic. And Dave, can you share a bit more about your background?
Yeah, I started working for the Yacht Report magazine in the year 2000. So I've been in the industry for 24 years. I did 10 years with that company. We grew it from 4 people to 50 people. Kind of magazines, events, traveling the world, talking to crew. And that's where I found out about the bin juice issue. You know, I was talking to crew and I said to them, what's the biggest problem on board? And they said, bin juice. That, you know, the boats have, if you're at anchor where all the owners want to be.
That is glamour.
It's real now. But it's a reality. It's a reality that the space on board boats is really squeezed. And essentially I did 10 years at that company dealing with products. It was like an education in yachting. It was like almost like a university of yachting, learning, talking to clients and talking to manufacturers. And the clients were saying to me, you know this subject so well, David. Who do we talk to about underwater lighting for a 100-meter new build project? And I said, oh, you should talk to Ocean LED. And I was like, when you get all these questions, it was like obvious that I should start my own business. And I've done things like when I was in the magazine, I've climbed Kilimanjaro, I've cycled through India for charity, raising money for the Stroke Association, pushing myself personally, and it was all the right signs to go on your own.
Yeah, and obviously waste management is an important topic in the industry, and that's part of your role is to grow the awareness of the options that are out there and the solutions that you offer. Now, other than the products that you have, how else do you think we can improve waste management? You mentioned marinas before.
Well, there's two problems with waste on board the boats, and I'm trying to help that at the moment. That's what I've been doing for 8 years with the products that I sell. But in the marinas, the problem is that in the industrialized world, where the marinas have the facilities to process the waste, it's great. But if you're in places like the Maldives, where there's amazing hotels, there's amazing marinas, they don't have any facilities in the Maldives to process waste. You know, there's 2 islands where they burn all of the waste. It's absolutely disgusting. And my aim in life is to fix that. I have a product coming which will resolve these issues in these island chains and marinas, something that will burn wastes with no carbon footprint and provide renewable electricity. And it's going to be very, very revolutionary.
Okay, well, it's great. I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the future. Now, Lucia, I'd like to talk to you about how we can improve waste. What improvements has Estela made? Now, I know you reuse the sand from the sandblasting and you're collecting organic waste in the canteen. What other initiatives do you have in the yard?
First, I want to say that we are aware that sometimes it's difficult for judges to adapt to the different regulations in different countries, because the kind of separation that takes place here in Baleares and around Spain is different than the kind of separation that takes place in France or in Italy. So they have to adapt, and I understand that sometimes it's difficult. We are collecting 58 types of different residues in the yard, so it's a lot of things. We are collecting things from crews, but also from suppliers. We separate the things in two parts, so we have dangerous wastes and non-dangerous waste. And I have to say that the non-dangerous waste has a big percentage of recycling, and that is less habitual in dangerous goods. So I will say we have about 72% of goods that go to recycling, about 22 or something like that, that goes to what we call valorization, that will be burned and electricity will be created, and 2% that goes directly to the landfill. And that's a work we have been doing, making contracts with management companies, with residues management companies. In our case, we are now trying to receive the organic waste from the yard separately. We will put in place some new bins during the summer, and we are going to follow the approach of the council, of the Palma Council here, that this kind of bins will have to be opened with a key, with a phone or with a car. I'm not sure yet, because there's a lot of people that wants to separate it, but sometimes there's people that doesn't care and will make a disaster and spoil the work of others. So that's one thing. We have been doing it in our canteen, as you say, and we also trying to improve the separation of textiles. Because it's a kind of residue that goes mixed with the rest of the things when they are withdrawn from the boat, and we think we can do a better thing with them. So that are the two new projects for this year in the yard.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, with waste, there's a connection with wastewater, and the use of chemicals was also impacting the environment, whether you're on land or on board. Now, in your individual areas, how are you specifically reducing your impact? Now, Leah, I want to start with you, because when you worked on board, obviously you had daily contact with cleaning products and chemicals, and perhaps maybe you can explain technical term, what are volatile organic compounds and why are they harmful?
Yeah, so starting from obviously all of the chemicals and the cleaning products you're using on a boat, obviously boat soaps and everything like that, and even products that you use at home, it all gets washed into the water systems and then into the ocean. So volatile organic compounds, VOCs, they basically evaporate into the air and also into the water, but they suffocate the ocean. And then if you're breathing them in yourself cleaning, there's a study that's come out from a Norwegian university, and that says that smoking 20 cigarettes a day is the same health effect that using cleaning products with VOCs in them has the same health effect as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. And we also think about sustainability. We always think about the impact on the ocean, but you don't often think actually about the impact on the people that are actually using the products. And I think, just like you say, small changes like that you can implement instantly, that's not going to take you a long time to implement, and it's not, for example, like changing your fuel systems or changing your generators and things like that. It makes a huge impact. And for example, just from one of our 1 litres of boat soap at sort of 66,000 litres when it's diluted of toxic chemicals going into the water.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well done, Leah. Yeah.
I love data like that. Thank you.
Well, I think
Made me very happy this
I think
morning.
you just summed it up. We can't ever change these things if we don't know about it. It's education. I had that feedback from boats, which was that we recycle on board, we take it to the marina, and it all gets put into one boat in one lorry. And it but in the south of France, it actually gets taken to Cannes and it gets sorted there, which led me to think I need to survey all the marinas to find out and provide a guide to crew as to what facilities they have, not only for waste management and where it goes, but do they get clean energy? Where does the energy come from? Do they have batteries? Do they have solar? And it's called the Clean Super Yacht Marina campaign.
Yeah, and why do you think this isn't being driven by marinas themselves? Because we have huge marina groups that have international marinas around the world, 20 plus marinas, and the information should be all cohesive and comprehensive for the users, the end users, the boats, the captains, the crew, the owners. It's
because they're all businesses. They're all businesses who are focusing on what they do day in, day out. It's one of those things that it will come a day where a crew member will say to a marina, why are you not doing this? Why do you not have sea bins in your marina, I just really think it is. There's a place to gather data to provide information to crew, and to help them make the right decisions on board, to make them know. Like I'm on WhatsApp groups with some captains, and they one of them 3 years ago, there was a legislation in Italy where only clear bags could be used. You can't dump any black bags, and I think if you have these communities, it's really, really useful. The data and sharing that information.
Yeah, so...
Well, talk about sustainability and biodegradable bags. I get asked this a lot. When your bag's going to become biodegradable for your vacuum device? And I've done a bit of investigation into this, and biodegradable is a totally unregulated term. There's no understanding of what biodegradable is. Essentially, what biodegradable is if it breaks it down, it turns it into microplastics, and microplastics are the worst things for the sea.
So you probably don't want more biodegradable bin bags.
Yeah, this is kind of where the regulation, the EU claims directive, should hopefully clear up these things.
And so these are ongoing challenges that you are all encountering and us in the greater industry are seeing every day. So the lack of education, the knowledge awareness. One of the factors I hear sometimes is the price of greener solutions. So rather than look at the long-term benefits, people instantly say, oh, that's so expensive, or it's, that type of thing. Now, Luthia, you also mentioned greenwashing. It's our favourite word in the sustainability discussions. How do you think we get beyond these challenges, other than media?
Yeah, I think we should be very careful when we communicate and not use our, let's say, marketing mind and use our technical mind and give real data of what a product or what a service we are providing will really impact in the environment. So in our case, for example, we have some solar panels in the yard, but they account of about 10% of the electricity we use. We as a shipyard, because there's a lot of another great amount of energy used by the yachts. So it makes no sense to say Astilleros has a renewable energy for everyone. No, it's just the 10%. It's what we have done. So and it has its importance. So I think we should give real data, and also the directive, the EU directive against greenwashing, I think will help. Because as a consumer, as a citizen, for me, it's sometimes difficult to locate real good products. So I was some days ago comparing our situation with what happens with food. I know if you have used an application that is called Yuka. So if you want to have salmon tonight, you can use Yuka, you can scan the barcode and you will know which one has more salt or which one does not have any harmful chemical on it, and select it. So it will be wonderful if we had something like that for the yachting market. So when you go to whatever shop and you have to buy a chemical to clean your deck or another product that is not chemical, you can use your application and see which claim is real and which is not. That will be fantastic.
Sounds like
you will have a good.
Maybe we can start a committee here for the next tech launch.
Yeah, we can run a company on that.
Okay, so improving the transparency is going to be important in the future for all companies, and of course, going forward, that you'll need verification with the EU Green Claims Directive. So companies will need to prepare for this. It's going to. I'll come over to you in a minute, Dave. So this will, definitely impact businesses and eliminate and reduce a little bit of that greenwashing that's out there.
I was in Barcelona for the Super Yacht Technology Show recently, and I was in the lift checking out of the hotel, and this gentleman was in the lift, and he saw my T-shirt, and he asked what Super Yacht Rubbish was, and I told him. He said, "Oh, I'm a captain of a 40-meter boat. I'm going to be buying your product, and there's a guy I want to introduce to you in Barcelona, Anjay, his name is, and he's got a blockchain system which is revolutionizing the way garbage management is processed in the marinas. So essentially what could happen is they could be like QR codes on each bag. They get scanned. It gets rid of all the paperwork. It's all approved going through. It's so clever. And this kind of technology is going to come in place very soon to facilitate that kind of change, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of movement with tech and apps, and it's not necessarily going to be driven by businesses with huge budgets. We're going to have an idea and somebody's just going to roll with it and create something that will impact the industry. Now, a few people in this room might not know about carbon offsetting, so would you like to explain a bit more about carbon offsetting, Lucia? I'll go along.
Well, I already explained a bit because we have a project with that, but I will say that there is a free market and a regulated market. So some companies, some big companies, do have to offset their footprint, and it's compulsory. And there's also another market in which companies or individuals who would like to offset their carbon footprints may go and buy some credits to offset that. There has been a scandal about it last year with Berra credits. That was one of the certifiers was more well known, saying that a lot of those credits were really ghost credit. There was an investigation by The Guardian. So it's a difficult thing. I will say my position technically is that it's a good thing if a real fixation of carbon, and if you're really absorbing carbon from the atmosphere and setting it in somehow in a humidor or somehow. But it has to be studied carefully to avoid just using your money to have a certificate, but not having a real impact on nature.
Yeah. So you need that transparency, so people actually know that it's going towards an initiative or program that it is actually doing what it says.
And measures are really important on that point. For example, in the Monaco Jet Show last year, they measured the impact. I know, and PIPS this year, they are also doing so. They are using the blockchain technology that David was commenting. So they are trying to really measure the impact of PIPS. The real measures are not only the electricity that we are using here, but also the trips, the taxis, the hotels, everything. So then when you get that data, you can move on and change somehow the way you live and then offset. And in that case, I will recommend to use things that are of proximity, local things that you can see with your eyes and be sure that you are doing a good thing for nature.
Yeah, and this is a great way forward, and it's something that the yachting industry is a little bit behind other sectors such as aviation. I mean, we've been offsetting flights in aviation for years, and so now we're starting to see charter companies offsetting charters, and clients can choose to carbon offset that. So Leah, do you have anything to add to the carbon offsetting?
Yeah, so just similar really. I think like you say, there's been a couple of scandals and things like that around it. And again, myself working for the NGO in water sanitation in Uganda, we had it a few times with other people trying to basically claim the projects that we've done as offsetting. So I've seen it definitely from both sides. But I think the importance is, like you say, using people where you can actually, everything's tracked and it's completely measurable. Or for example, companies where you can actually go and see it, like yourselves, and they're in close proximity. But I think it is important. And I think if you can do that, we do, for example, like a tithing program. So we give 10% of our profit every year to, for example, like either NGOs or to like ocean research charities. So again, almost offsetting in that way. But I think, yeah, it is a good thing to do. And if you can make it impact and you're like counterbalancing it, then yeah, I think it is a good thing.
And David, do you have feedback from yachts that you're dealing with about offsetting?
Well, you know, there's people like, you know, Yacht Carbon Offset who've made a business out of this. I've always queried it just in terms of like the locality. I want to know where it is. And that's why I kind of favour the trying to do it yourself, in the sense of making the right decisions personally. And then I'll go back to the solar and batteries. You know, I'm going completely off grid. I'm actually a green energy exporter, and that's my way of offsetting things, because I'd like to do it personally.
Yeah. And just while you're mentioning that you're implementing this in your own home environment, obviously something we haven't mentioned today is, I think in the industry we also need to encourage the younger generation to get on board with the ideas and the whole benefit of sustainability as a whole, because if we're not educating younger people, then they're not going to understand why we're making the changes today for the future. So it's a good thing, because your own children are first to see how it's making the changes.
It's amazing the amount of people that don't understand a single thing about it. It's scary.
Yeah. Okay, so
my own experience, because some gasolineras, how do you say gasolineras in English? Where the gas station, some gas stations in Spain do not give you the ticket. And I also want my ticket because I'm measuring my carbon offset. So when I say it, people look at me like if I am an alien. So you are doing what? Yeah, I'm measuring my carbon footprint. I'm a red abyss.
Okay, that's brilliant. So I'd just like to give you the opportunity to share with the audience here some personal insight or something that you are individually proud of, or your company, and something that you feel might inspire everybody that's in the room today. So Leah, you have the microphone, so go for it.
I just think, like what I was saying before, about even just doing the panel and everything like that, and actually just the power in community and just being conscious about your decisions, because even the smallest decisions that you make have the biggest impact. And I think as long as everyone's doing the best that they can, I do think there'll be a change.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm proud of running a business that I've never marketed myself as green. I've never said the word green in my professional life. But people perceive it as that. I get that feedback quite a lot, and that's quite a, you know, I'm obviously doing it personally and it's coming through, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I just think that, you know, as well as giving back to the industry, giving back to training the younger people, pointing them in the right direction, that's where I'm very proud now, like trying to direct people in the right direction.
Yeah, so the perception is there that the business that you actually are running is how you are anyway. So you know what they say, people talk about you when they you know what am I trying to say? They talk about your brand when you're not in the room. So that's what you're known for.
Yeah, I get talked about on all the WhatsApp groups of the captains, and I've got some like nice captains that support me, which is very nice.
Yeah, excellent. And how do you feel about any projects that you've worked on? You've had a really vast experience in the industry, especially refit and repair. So, what is your most proud moment?
Well, the message will be that society is changing. When we first started to work in environment and changing things 20 years ago, the people were not really there. They were not thinking about separating waste or using green energy. It was not a topic, and now it's a topic that is very important. It's on every forum. So I think we are on the right way, and we are moving. And so I encourage everyone to do those small decisions that make the change.
Thank you. So thanks very much, everybody. Now I'm going to open it up to the audience for questions for the panelists today. James is going to jump in and...
Share the mic. While I walk over, I have a question. I'm coming to you. It's clear in our experience as an agency that things like safety systems or environmental systems are not perceived as sexy. They don't really sell. Owners and charterers, they like things they can touch and they can see, like a big video wall or extremely fast internet access or amazing jacuzzi technology or something. So how do we collectively, you're all small businesses, how do we collectively market this to get owners engaged to the point where they actually want to spend the money on initiatives and making sure that they're all buying Leah's products and they're all handling their waste in the way David proposes, and also they choose shipyards like Astilleros who are doing things voluntarily. So how do we make that sexy to actually make owners want to do this for their own vessels?
No idea. The only thing I will say that may help us when we do not have this thing on the brain from the beginning, I will say people think about your children and think about in which world they are going to live in the future, and that thing, I think that's a good driver for your decisions.
Yeah, and I just think just changing the way that things are done. Again, if you think of an eco-friendly cleaning product, what would you say it would look like? Yeah. No, exactly. But it's always the same typical brand, and it's probably got dolphins or fish on it. It's got exactly. They're normally weak and it doesn't work. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with the products and what we're doing. It's actually making it cool and actually making it sexy, so that all of it is luxury and high end. But it's also around the community around it, and we do immersive experiences with crew, or do projects with management companies, and it's just taking a different angle from it and taking a different aspect than it's ever been done before.
I probably work in the least sexy element of the industry. It's trash talking all the way, but it has a huge impact. And the owner of Correlation made all his money in waste management. And essentially yes, exactly. I think technology is the driver. Technology, innovation, the things coming out of the universities in the UK, where they're rolling off technology. Is really gonna, all the roads soon will be solar, and as cars are driving along, they're going to be recharged as they drive along. That's 20 years away, probably 15 years away. There's a huge amount of change going to happen soon.
Sorry, yeah, if I may. Okay, I'm Christophe Bourillon from the PYA, and compared to all of you, I know absolutely nothing about yachting, because I've been in this industry only 3 years. But I spent the past 30 years as a lobbyist for the car industry, the oil and gas industry, the nuclear industry. And as was rightly said in the introduction, sustainable development means different things to different people. And I believe that because, as a lobbyist, I spend all my time on international energy and environmental policy. And I believe there are 2 stages by which an industry approaches sustainable development. There is the voluntary stage, there is the mandatory stage. We are at the voluntary stage. As was said, we discovered sustainable development 2 years ago. So all our companies in the industry are trying to see what we can do, what our part can be in this sustainable development improvement. But We all tend to forget or maybe not know that sustainable reporting nowadays is like financial reporting with clear standards and obligations. So we are at stage 1, bottom up. Stage 2, top down, is when the regulator will impose, regulations on you. And this is where, usually it hurts for industries. And I'm seeing, the way we are approaching today sustainable development in yachting is the way I saw it happening in the car industry or oil and gas 20 years ago. We are trying to see what individually what we can do. And I'm giving you 2 examples of the mandatory obligation that may come down on us pretty soon. One was mentioned, it's carbon offset. There is the European directive on, emission trading scheme. The bloody aviation industry, which was mentioned, you may remember 15 years ago when you would buy an airline ticket, they would tell you, oh, if you pay £2 more, this will offset your emissions as a flyer. Meanwhile, those blighters at the corporate level were fighting tooth and nail to be excluded from the emission trading scheme. So this year, 2024, the maritime sector is to be included in the European emission trading scheme. This means basically across a fleet, the government will give you the right to emit 100 tons of carbon, for example. If you emit 120, you're going to have to buy 20 tons on the market. If you emit 80, you're going to have 20 tons to sell. Right now, 3 maritime sectors are excluded from the emission trading scheme: shipping, support vessels, and yachting. But some powerful environmental lobby groups in Brussels are fighting for super yachts to be included. So that may come our way pretty soon. And the second one that may be coming our way, I always have to look it up because it's got a bloody stupid name. It's called the European Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, which is a directive that will impose on transnational corporations very clear key performance indicators in terms of environment. But that thing, which is now sitting at the European Parliament, will apply not only to transnational corporations, but also to their business partners. So if any of your companies are dealing with, Shell or any other big, huge companies, you're going to be affected as well. But we have the chance to be at stage 1, where we can learn, and we must learn a lot. And I must admit that in the past 2 years that I've been observing our industry, I'm seeing a lot of progress. 6 months ago, no one would have mentioned carbon offset. So now it's being discussed. So thank you for this very informed conversation. And if you give me a microphone, I never let go. So I'm sorry about that.
Sorry. We need to train places.
Anybody else with a question? Aaron.
I was going to comment a thing. Some days ago, I was in a presentation by KPMG, and they were saying that the amount of data you should collect to do a proper environmental declaration is huge. So if you are collecting like 100 different points, like analysis and quantity of waste and whatever you are doing, this will almost double. So if you have to be able to provide real good data that is auditable, you have to be prepared, and you probably need 2 years to be there. So start now if you haven't.
This is, and the data point is a big thing because we need to get buy-in from everybody. So if we don't have this data going forward, then we don't have anything to benchmark.
I think important there is that, of course, the yachting industry is the boats, and then the industry or the infrastructure that drives it from behind, which are the businesses that move it forward. My question is that there's a lot of emphasis on the businesses that need to do things like carbon offsetting, and it's absolutely important. But that is something that's also putting businesses out of business for smaller business owners, for example, that can't buy a new fleet of electric vehicles. They can't install
air purification systems that cost 100,000 euros. And I can think anecdotally of 2 businesses here, just in Mallorca, that have gone out of business in the 2 years because they can't actually maintain what is necessary to offset that carbon footprint. So what is actually, if you know of anything, being done at a government level, because it's all regulatory, but what is the government actually doing to be more eco-friendly? Everything's on the little fish, and nothing is really, there's no pressure on from the bottom up, actually.
Well, I will hand this over to Lucia because you've probably got a more local perspective of what is happening here in Mallorca.
Yeah, I can explain a bit what the government are doing in Mallorca. They are launching a new set of grants. Some of them are focused on measuring, so you can measure your footprint. They will pay the consultancy company that will help you to measure your footprint. They also give you grants to measure the product. So let's say measuring a process, so you can give that information, and other grants are more related to digitalization. With regards to assets, they have launched about 3 years ago grants to help you install solar panels or solar heaters, and to change your vans to electric vans, and also to install charging points. Even for companies that are located in the polygons, and they are in old buildings that have uralita, that has asbestos and is a difficult thing to remove, they have included a grant for that to make sure that they can take out all the asbestos safely and install the panels. But I have to say that sometimes it's not a thing of, change your van, I get rid of diesel and I install electricity or gasoline that is a bit less harmful. Maybe people will have to think about car sharing, about when you have to use your van, because, for example, in our cases, sometimes we're using our vans to move one person. Why don't you buy some motorcycles or even bicycles? So that's a thing that has to be done, and I think governments in Spain are also trying to improve mobility inside the city to be able to move with bicycles and using all other mobility systems. And I think, there are some grants more difficult to achieve that are from the national government, that are more related to products that are more innovative, not the application.
I think government's got a huge role to play in this. You know, in Spain here, it's almost, you can't, if you have solar panels on your roof and a battery, you can't export that energy to provide that green energy to the grid. In the UK, you can do, there's companies now where if their wind turbines are producing too much energy, I can use that energy and I get paid to use it. You know, it's such a democratic way of energy use. And Spain has got such an ability to be a solar, superpower. But when you fly in, you see no solar panels. It's absolutely crazy. And from a waste management point of view, MARPOL is the regulation for waste management. It's something which is a guideline. It's not law. It's optional, but it's very hard to police that. You know, do yachts release their grey water when they're over 12 miles outside of the marina? You know, I can't comment on that, but I've got a good idea. Yeah, exactly. And as to your case, I've read one of your reports recently in one of the magazines, and it opened my eyes to what regulation can really do, and it can really hamper business. And the less regulation there is, the better.
And I think, again, touching on that point, I think we act at the minute as if it's our choice. If it's, oh, okay, well, do we want to be more sustainable or do we not? And it's not a choice. And then, like you say, it will just be regulated. And again, the ocean makes more than 51% of the world's oxygen. So if we don't start looking after it, we're going to have bigger problems than being regulated.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Oh,
Just a simple comment, yeah. You know, as a lobbyist for other industries, I spent my life pushing regulation. In yachting, we are at a stage where, in some respect, we don't have enough regulation, but it's by showing regulators that if voluntary, we can do things well, we're going to write our own regulation, which is the best place to be.
agreed, of course. I have one final question then from me again, sorry. Lucia, Astilleros de Mallorca, I think you're a bit of a trailblazer when it comes to the processes that you have in the yard, which are clearly, we're in the voluntary stage. Astilleros is very much ahead of the curve on that. Now, that's to do probably with corporate personalities and making it a virtue, what you do. You say there's not really a commercial advantage to it. So how do you justify the inevitable expense of what you're doing? Is it just to feel good about yourselves? How do you monetize that to your commercial advantage? Or is Diego busy pushing the government to make everybody comply to your standards in order to finally then get some payback for all the good work you've been doing?
Well, the whole history started with Diego. It was his personal belief that we should be less harmful. So we started to move. So the thing started as a personal believing. And I have to say that during these years we have more crew with us, more personal, project managers and people in the offices, and even if we do not get claims from the client, we do not get, we are not pushed from the client side. Our own personnel is pushing us. So the personnel wants to work in a company that is they can be proud of. So our personnel is also a driving force, and also because they live here and they know they are going to use their boat during the weekend, and they are going to try to fish to fish, go fishing. So they want to be sure that the environment is good. Also, in my case, it's the thing that I have in my heart and in my brain. So I'm able to push, and also there's a regulatory side. We know we are above the regulation, so we are, let's say, in the safe side. We are confident that we will not get a fine, or we will not get, let's say, a problem with how clients see us in the website and those kind of things. So we are safe on that side, but mostly it's because we believe it. We believe in it.
Okay, well, bravo for doing that. Unless there are any more questions, I think we're going to wrap it up. It should really be down to Rebecca.
Wrap this up. So overall, today we've had a nice discussion, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We can come to the conclusion that, in general, the yachting industry, we need to take on to have a lighter footprint overall. More responsible yachting, both socially and economically, is possible. The solutions and the tech are there, however the pace is slow for various reasons, but we need to keep pushing together for investment, for research and innovation, and most of all we've got to have some credible messaging that goes beyond compliance and avoiding greenwashing. So thank you to the panel for joining us today, and thanks for the sponsors of the Estela breakfast seminars this week. And thank you, James, and the Estela team for throwing me in the deep end today. I've had a thoroughly enjoyable time.
Okay. Well, you did a really fantastic job. So thanks very much to everybody. Quick round of applause. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. We hope it was informative today. Tomorrow we're back again. We're talking about crew careers, training, mental health, terms and conditions of employment, everything to do related to crewing. So we have another fantastic panel lined up. Hopefully the stage won't be here, so we'll have a bit more space. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And on Saturday we're talking about fuel and propulsion, which I guess ties into what we've been talking about today on perhaps a grander scale, a higher level. So thank you all, and hope you have an enjoyable day at the boat show. Turns out nice for it, so enjoy. Thank you.